Hey everybody, welcome to another good e-reader comparison video. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Today we have the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite versus the Kobo Aura. These are both 6-inch e-readers, but they're very different in terms of hardware and software. On the Kobo Aura, we actually have a capacitive multi-touch display, which is a first on e-readers. You have pretty well a low flash waveform is what e-ink is calling it. The resolution's the same. Both e-readers have 1024 by 768. The Paperwhite has an 800 megahertz, while the Aura has a 1 gigahertz processor. Storage on the Paperwhite, only 2 gigs, but you have 4 gigs on the Aura, and you can also expand it via the micro SD card, while the Paperwhite, sadly, is very consistent in the form that it does not have any SD support. They both have a 2-month battery life. Let's take a look at the screens. Very different.
If you thought the Kindle Paperwhite was small, which we all did, this thing is just the overall package. It is nice and light and compact with the same screen size, and you'll notice if we catch some light, the light reflection is consistent through the bezel and the screen. This is because it is perfectly flat, whereas the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite still has a sunken in screen, as you can see right here, about 1 or 2 millimeters sunken in. We're not sure why, because this is using capacitive touchscreen, and they've deviated away from their old IR touch, so it doesn't make too much sense why they haven't gone this route, but I guess it took Kobo to think of it first.
Yeah, and I think that one of the big advantages over that is, despite the fact they both have a 6-inch screen, the Kobo Aura is actually significantly smaller, right, by a good inch and a half.
Right.
Okay, so if you look at the software screens here, they're very different. You could see by yourself here that you could swipe between, different things, as well as you have actual store prompts here. So it allow you to basically make an instant buying decision on your home screen. Some people might say that's obtrusive, to be able to, on my home screen I want just my stuff there. I don't want to be prompted to buy things. But it seems to have worked well, with Amazon and Kindle's ecosystem as a whole. You can shop the Kindle store. There's a lot of options here. If you make purchases, say on your Android device, and you want to have them synced to your e-reader, you just click sync and check for items, and that's the same as if you borrowed ebooks, from the library. The main home screen on the Kobo Aura is dynamic in nature, so it will change depending on what you've done recently. As you see, we've accessed the web browser, we've read a book, 8% of The Hobbit, we've written 15% of the Dungeons Master Guide, and a number of other options here. We've even looked at a new collection. One of the cool things on the Aura is the inclusion of articles from Pocket. Pocket, formerly Read It Later, is a Read It Later type service, much along the similar vein of Instapaper and a number of other services. You need a Pocket account. You can register one on the e-reader, or if you have an Android, iOS, PC, or various other platforms, you can get articles and deliver them to Pocket. Pocket actually can talk and interact with Facebook and Twitter, so you can get all of your Facebook status updates or Twitter comments, updates, and have them delivered to here. What I like about Pocket is I could basically have every single article good e-reader ever wrote, have them here for offline reading. You get the picture, you can control the fonts, increase the sizes, and things like that. You can also delete them once you're done, so they're not taking up space or cluttering your device. This is a sort of a new feature. Well, we're looking at the overall experience here. What's the differences between the stores? Because the first stage in reading an ebook is often buying an ebook.
So we're going to open up the bookstore in each of these. You can see that the Kindle had a little bit of an error, but we'll go straight to the storefront. So pretty different. You have a lot of categories up front here, whereas you just have a little bit of most recent categories there. You also have Kindle Select 25 at the bottom. Similar thing here, the little carousel.
Kind of like the way Amazon handles their carousel a little bit better.
Right, right.
Seems to be a little bit more seamless.
We'll click on a book to show you guys what options you have here. You both have buy it nows. You both have add to wish lists if you drop down that. You both have try a sample or read preview. However, there's a lot more customer review information here. You have star ratings, helpful reviews, full out explanations of why people liked it, why they didn't like it, editorial reviews, Amazon.com reviews, Publishers Weekly. A lot more details here than the little rating system on Kobo. So
yeah, from my understanding is Kobo had a rating and review system that was using the Goodreads API, which is basically pulling ratings and reviews from Goodreads, and Kobo was redoing their website, and that kind of killed their rating system and review system. And not only has that affected their online webpage, but that also affected their e-store as well. So you could see kind of from the get-go that Amazon has their own ratings and review system for like 8 years.
Right.
It's very extensive. It really tells you a lot, whereas Kobo really mainly tells you, this is the book description, this is what the book's about. Amazon, a little bit more thorough.
right, they also tell you the amount of books in each category. So 2.1 million books almost.
Yeah. Kobo, on the other hand, is about 3.5 million, and that includes localized books for various markets, German,
Right.
Spanish, things like that. So once you've purchased a book, well, let's read a book.
So we're not going to open up the same book here because we're not focusing on the way the book is displayed, but more of the features that each of the devices bring to the table. We're going to start with the Kobo Aura here, and Michael's going to give you an idea of what these symbols are on the bottom.
It's some new features that are indicative only to the Kobo Aura at this time, but future firmware updates will bring these enhancements to their apps as well as other devices. First of all, we're going to click here and you get some of your reading life statistics. How many hours are left reading the book at your current rate, how much you've read in this chapter, etc. This is one of the coolest features though. It's called Beyond the Book. And this really goes beyond simple terminologies. If you don't understand a word, you would look it up in a dictionary. This goes beyond that. So instead of, a dictionary is not going to have anything about Bilbo Baggins in it.
Right.
So who is this character and what it's about? Well, you can click on it and get a little bit of a history, get a picture of him from the film as well as related books. Because this e-reader is not released yet, it doesn't really have a lot of related products, but as more consumers buy it and it gets populated with more user information, you should see more details there, as well as this will actually have certain words highlighted, so you can click on that word and then you would get this be pulled up here. So if you even want to learn who J.R.R. Tolkien is, you can get a picture of him here, and as well as a little about section, but you can actually click view more.
Amazon has a similar thing to that, but it's not beyond the book, it's pretty much just within the book. You have people, terms, and all. So if you didn't know what they meant by mothballs, for example, you can click on that and it will tell you everywhere that mothballs is mentioned, and it'll tell you a little bit about it. It doesn't go as far as Kobo with taking you to other stores and saying, hey, you can buy this there, or let's go to this website to give you a little bit more of a description or maybe a history on it. You won't get any of that, but you will get this, which is basically shows you in location in the book or by chapter where everyone is mentioned. So if you don't know where Mrs. Rogers was mentioned, she's mentioned on chapter 4, and you can click that and go to that page. So a little bit similar.
Yeah, I mean, they both have very compelling different ways that you can do it. Before, X-Ray used to rule,
Right.
But now that the Aura is coming to the table with its own unique twist, suddenly it's a little bit harder to say which one is a little bit better, because they both do things entirely different.
Right.
Let's take a look at the overall e-reading experience and how we can change fonts, margins, line spacing, and things like that.
Page turning on the Kindle, you have quite a bit of refreshes. You can change that to a certain degree to not make it black out like that every time, but on the Kobo, it actually only does that refresh every chapter. You can switch it to sooner, but I don't see why you would, because you want that to happen as little as possible. But if we go to the font changes, oh, there you go.
Cool.
So some of the things will be highlighted in books that you find that you're just reading through. You'll see they have little dots underneath.
Yeah.
So if we go to the text augmentation area, you will see it has things like font size, font style, margins, line spacing. Everything changes live pretty much. This is all you get with Amazon, which used to be really cool until Kobo devices came along and have this whole advanced section where they have font weight, sharpness, size, and all of this goes into a before and after look at what your text is going to look like after you're done changing it. So that's really cool, something Amazon does not have.
E-readers have changed a lot in the last few years. Before, you could never read them in the dark. You were totally dependent on an ambient light. Then front light technology came out. The Kindle Paperwhite was the first e-reader by Amazon that actually had this. Gives you some control over the illumination levels. Now, it looks blue, you know, on the screen, but that's mainly because of geeky camera lingo. Yeah, it's because of the lenses and the white balancing and, you know, things like that. With Kobo in the past, you needed to hit, you know, the menu to change the lights. But now, because of it's a multi-touch display, 2 fingers down will turn the screen down. 2 fingers up will actually turn it up.
With the Kobo, much like the Amazon, you can never turn the backlight off unless you press and hold the button at the top, which sets it to 0%. The Amazon, I don't know why they did that, but even when you're all the way gone on the bar, the backlight is still on to 1%. So the battery life, although they are both extremely long in battery life, about 2 months, you will get a little bit of a better battery out of the Kobo, because you do have that option to turn the light off.
We actually know this because we actually looked under the Paperwhite under a microscope and can actually tell that the backlight screen is never truly off.
Right.
So, reading experience, there's a lot of customization. I think the Kobo gives you a little bit more. It also allows you to sideload in your own fonts and things like that. So if you're a big fan of, you know, Times New Roman or Arial or Calvary Black or Body, you can actually load those in yourself if you purchase them online or just download them from the internet.
Right. I like the keyboard on the Kobo because it's spaced well. You get a dedicated row of numbers. I like the keyboard on the Amazon a little bit better. You give a little bit of dimension with the shading, and you also get suggestive words on what you might want to write.
Yeah, like predictive typing.
Right. And of course, highlighting on the Kindle has always been absolute king. All you do is drag, boom, done. Whereas on the Kobo, you actually have to wait till it shows up, wait till the anchors show up, grab an anchor, and then choose to highlight. Whereas on the Amazon, it's very simplistic.
Easy peasy.
Yes, indeed.
Well, we've looked at an EPUB book, but the world does not revolve around EPUB on Kobo, and it does not revolve around Amazon's proprietary Mobi, PRC, AZW, or its myriad of other formats, including Kindle Format 8. We're going to look at a PDF, the longest lived format on the internet and the most popular. So chances are, if you're browsing the internet, you're going to encounter PDFs. So we're just calling up the right page here.
We're going to go to the same page, 44. So here we are. So on the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite,
you notice even just from the get-go that this is up here and this is down there.
Right, it's formatted that this is actually making better use of the screen. Pinch and zooming, it's very quick. However, when you get into the full page a little bit, you actually can't grab your zoom and your navigation, sorry. And what I mean by this, you'll see on the Kobo, is if I pinch and zoom, I can actually let go of my finger and catch it and continue navigating without it stopping to render until I'm at the point where I want to let go, and away I go. On the Paperwhite, although the pinch and zooming is fast, you see I can't actually move it without it stopping to render entirely every single time. It's little things like that. Not a lot of people might know that, but it's the little things like that that make these things really stand out.
Once you find the ideal zooming level in a PDF, you actually can turn the page and maintain that level of zoom.
Whereas on the Paperwhite, I've swiped over even with the zoom, and it took me completely out of that. I have to then go back to that level. And you can see as you're moving it around, everything is still pretty readable. But if I reach the end of my screen and I need to lift my finger to continue moving, I can't. It actually stalls and resets. So that's a little bit of a drawback too. And while you're pinching and zooming, everything is pretty unreadable, and it's not as accurate as the Kobo.
You also have a cool virtual ping here, if you notice to the left here.
The little mini map here.
Yeah, it gives you an indication of where you are in the document, which really helps. If sometimes text will be randomly cut off and whatnot, and you may not know, hey, where am I in the document?
Like this, you don't know where you are on this page right now on the Amazon.
Yeah, so I do dig the way Kobo has really stepped up their game with PDF rendering with their multi-touch display here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very evident in how e-ink has grown and how Kobo has taken advantage of it. This 2-point multi-touch really helps with starting pinching and zooming with 2 fingers and then starting with, continuing with 1. And you're not able to do that with any other e-reader currently on the market.
Nope.
Now, not only is this beneficial in PDFs, but also in your web browsing experience. Peter, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts is that Amazon Kindle Paperwhite, going into this when Michael had brought his team back from New York from the Kobo event, he says, hey, I'm bringing back the Aura. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we'll see, because the Paperwhite is just, it's so awesome in so many ways. Then we saw this and we were blown away. The screen is magnificent. It is downsized without any of the screen being smaller by any means. If anything, the resolution's greater. It has very nice build quality. It's got twice as much storage as the Paperwhite, and you can upgrade that to 32 gigs, whereas the Paperwhite you cannot. You can turn the backlight, the front light off using the button on this, whereas the Paperwhite, it's always on. You have total customization over your reading on the Kobo Aura, whereas on the Kindle you only get with what's there. You can sideload things onto this. You can you get all those extra features like beyond the book, whereas you're just kind of stuck in the book with X-ray. Pretty much everything the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite can do, the Kobo Aura can do that, but more and better. So overall, when we weren't trying to pick a winner here, but if you had to choose an e-reader, I would just Kobo all the way. There wouldn't be a question.
One of the advantages that the Kobo ecosystem has on a whole is that it primarily deals with the EPUB format. This is the most popular format available. Almost every major retailer but Amazon sells them or loans them out in EPUB format. This means that you can buy books from Barnes & Noble, from Smashwords, from a number of ebook stores, and then import them into your Kobo via Adobe Digital Editions. With Amazon, you can't sideload EPUB content. You can only really shop or buy ebooks from Amazon. Sure, you could use third-party tools like Calibre and convert free EPUB books to an Amazon-compatible format such as Mobi, PRC, or AZW, but it requires you to learn new programs and jump through many hoops. We'd like to hear your thoughts. You heard ours. Drop a comment on this YouTube video on our channel at youtube.com/goodereader. And for all the latest news, previews, interviews, and industry-wide coverage, as well as breaking news on the e-reader sector, check out our website. It's goodereader.com. For Good E-Reader, my name is Michael.
This is Peter.
And you've just watched a comparison of the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite and Kobo Aura.